What's up, Madridistas, and welcome to today's therapy session. We are recording this a day after Real Madrid lose to Barcelona in the Copa del Rey final 3-2. I wanted to say thank you to everybody, all of our members who joined for the post-game podcast last night, right at the final whistle. We recorded a solid 40 minutes, and we got a ton of new members, and I just want to say welcome to the family, and thank you for joining. If you want to access that and a ton more, an entire back catalog, including a bonus Elia Después Madrid mornings with Lucas this morning, and way more moving forward, go to patreon.com/managing Madrid or simply hit join on the YouTube memberships tab on this channel. On that note, Leah, who is going to hop on this podcast in a couple minutes, along with Angelo, along with Lucas, Leah and I and Mehedi are doing a podcast in Toronto on May 10th, and that is one day before the next El Clasico, the League Clasico. We'd love to meet you guys. Come hang out. We got a ton of prizes to give away. We are going to preview the Clasico. We're going to talk big picture stuff and just party and hang out at the bar. So if you want to come hang out with Leah, Mehedi, myself, and a bunch of other Madridistas who are just as passionate about the club as you are, I put the link in the show notes to RSVP to the event. The bar is not that big. It's a pretty intimate setting, and we have to cap it. So please RSVP ASAP. Also, shout out to moji-mates.com, our presenting sponsor. Moji Mates, head on over to moji-mates.com to get your favorite Real Madrid player on a shirt. Today we're rocking Eduardo Camavinga. Missed you last night, buddy. Hopefully you can recover fast and come back stronger next season. Also, shout out to TAC Sports, TAFC Academy, and their website is tacsports.ca. Have hands down the best coaching facilities and training and camps in Toronto. So if you have kids and you live in Toronto, go to tacsports.ca, sign them up for soccer clinics, basketball clinics, and swimming clinics. A lot of summer camps coming up. You want to make sure your kids are booked in over on tacsports.ca. All right, we got the Avengers today. We got Lucas, we got Angelo, and we got Leah. They're coming in about, how long is the intro? 40 seconds. Let's do it. Elia Después.
Nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
Welcome to the Managing Madrid podcast. Welcome, Lucas. Welcome, Angelo. And welcome, Leah. How are you guys doing? Well, give us some therapy. Leah, why don't we start with you? You slept on it. You feel differently? You feel better? Worse? How do you feel?
The same. Worse, maybe. There's just like so many moving parts to this actually that frustrate me to my core. We set up poorly. The first half we were so bad. Again, nothing. Just headless chickens. The second half got better. Arda came on and Mbappe came on and the game changed. There was hope. We played well sometimes. Missed a bunch of chances. So did we really play well? See, I'm giving myself therapy as I'm thinking out loud. So it's frustrating to see what can happen. And it gives me thoughts of like, had Arda started the whole season, would things be different? Like, would we have these chances? Would we finish them? You know what I mean? So that's frustrating that there were these glimpses of like, oh, wow, we can actually play well at times. Okay, cool. Then Courtois, then there's just, anyways, Barcelona fans are, anyways, there's that. The officiating was good until it wasn't. There were some things that I was pleasantly surprised with, especially after the whole press conference situation. There's just, a lot of moving parts. It's very frustrating. That's now our third Clasico this year that we've lost against them, which just continues to give them ammo, which is annoying. It's annoying for us that our level is just so poor and so low this season. Anyways, I digress. I feel like it's all the same thoughts that you guys have too. So
Angelo?
Yeah, man, it's horrible, bro. I didn't want this therapy session. I've lost my hair because of this team. I lost my eyebrows. I don't have eyebrows anymore because of this team. I've lost my happiness. Yeah, I'm cooked, bro. And it's just funny. I think the only yo, are you laughing, bro? Why are you laughing that hard?
You
Um,
know, I
yeah,
just I'm just happy I'm here with you guys. I'd rather be here with you guys than on my own crying somewhere.
yeah, yeah. It's tough, man. The Clasico is back though, huh? It's back. It was an entertaining game. Last season we won all of the Clásicos. This season it's looking like they're gonna win all the Clásicos, and that's it, man. Let's start just planning 2027 or something, bro.
2026. I think this team is going to come back much stronger next season. I'd like to explore something that Leah said earlier on, which was, I don't know if you said it or you asked it, but you said something like, would this season have looked different if Arda Güler was in the rotation sooner? And obviously, I don't know the answer to that. Part of me thinks that this season was so lost to begin with that no matter what you would have done, this season wouldn't have been much different. But certainly, I feel like, what's in the past is in the past. It's what's done is done. But moving forward, I think there are encouraging things you can come back with next year and build upon. And one of the things that I said was, we spent so much talking about buying this player or that player to replace Tony Cruz. Could we just I think we should just develop what we have. Give us at least 1 year. 1 year with developing players like Arda Güler and see where they land. And if you want to dip your toes into bringing Nico Paz back, fine. But I start to question about, like, if we do sign another player, would that stifle his development because there's another player he had to leapfrog. There was a lot of negativity towards Courtois and Brahim last night, and look, let's be honest, I think a couple mistakes from them, and we lost, and it was unfortunate, specifically in the Courtois case, because Courtois has given so much to the team. You even think about some of those losses this season against Arsenal that could have been worse without him, and you think back, like, even like just a couple minutes before the mistake, he had this incredible save on the Lamine Yamal cut in and shot. So I just, like, it sucks that it was him of all people who made the mistake. But I think they're just, I'm talking more big picture, Lucas, and I'm not sure. I didn't listen to your podcast this morning yet. I'm not sure where you land on this, but I felt like, at least while this season is a complete write-off, there are definitely paths to just coming back way stronger and figuring this out next season.
Yes, there are some encouraging signs for sure. I guess for the most important for me, or even more than Arda, is quite possibly Chouameni, who was on my transfer blog in November. Quite honestly, I mean, I was more than ready to ship him elsewhere for 50-60 million in November or December, and right now he's an untouched player. Right now, he's a player who should stay and should be an undisputed starter for Real Madrid next year. I don't know what got into him, but he deserves so much credit for turning his Real Madrid career around. I think he's figured it out, and obviously he will probably need some time, as every player does, some time to adapt to the new coach, the new system, and whatever happens. But that's to me, that's the biggest and encouraging sign of them all. But on the other hand, I kind of refuse to. It's tough for me, for a club as big as Real Madrid, as go trophyless one season, losing pretty much every single big game against quality opposition, and kind of trying to look at silver linings. It is tough for me. This is not Atletico we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not, and the fact that obviously Real Madrid competed and made it a game last night against Barca. Okay, fine. But it's not something to be proud of.
Yeah,
it's
no,
not something to be excited about. It's just, I mean, it should be a given in every single Clasico.
I just want to point that out. That's not what I meant either. Like,
no, I know, Kiyan.
Yeah,
this wasn't directed towards like your narrative or whatever you said. It's just I'm reading some tweets here in Real Madrid Twitter sphere saying, "Oh, this is a night to be proud of the players, all that they competed against Barca,
No.
all that." No, I
Let's
completely
never
disagree.
ever stoop that low to take a moral victory away. And certainly, I
Exactly.
that wasn't my intention. One. By the way, I don't even think it was one full good second half. It was
Mm-hmm.
the last like
Moments.
10 minutes of the second half were pretty brutal. Let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest. But it was just a window where we played well, and that does not erase an absolutely horrific season where you
10
were
months, yeah.
terrible. I think it more gave us a glimpse of like what could have possibly been done had we done things differently. Sure, but in the meantime, like I think there are, you mentioned Tchouaméni. I think there are a few individuals that did what they could, and nothing else really was in their
Sure.
control. Like Tchouaméni was one of them. I thought Güler was great.
Yeah.
I thought Mbappe was great off the bench. I think
Valverde and Bellingham
Asensio,
too, yeah.
I think Asensio had a really good game. I think Fran Garcia, like as much criticism as he got, and look, he had trouble dealing with Lamine Yamal early on, but the guy fought, for the rest of the game. And that was encouraging for me to see, at least. So there were things like that were good. Bellingham was unbelievable, and it was unfortunate that the one highlight that comes out of this game for him is him putting his hands on his head and not tracking Pedri for the goal.
Yeah, that's pretty
And
terrible.
outside of that really bad decision, he was really incredible, like one of his best games in a Real Madrid shirt. So yeah. You guys jump in. I don't want to talk that much, to be honest.
I agree, man. I agree. At the same time, like even his first half, I don't think it was that good. Bellingham's first half, he just became this player a few minutes later. He was good, he was great, but it seems like for some reason like we are set to fail from the beginning, bro. And honestly, if it feels like we just can't compete with our fullbacks, man. And
it's just that simple, yeah. I completely agree.
Like we just can't compete. Like Mendy just lasted 8 minutes and that was it. Like is this guy, like I think there's a few players in this squad that they're just physically finished or looks like it, right? Mendy can play 10 games in a row. Alaba can play 10 games in a row. And you just can't compete when you have that low quality of fullbacks.
Yeah.
No team can compete with that. If you look at the Champions League semifinals and you look at their fullbacks, they're all world class. And Barca had this Gerard Martin guy who isn't world class. But when you're in a team that has so much momentum and you're in this wheel that just keeps going, it's easier to fit. And if you throw Fran Garcia in the fire, he's gonna get cooked. And he didn't get ass cooked last night. He became good. His first minutes he struggled, but yeah, it's tough. And also, man, it's really hard to see Vinny in this form and Rodrigo, bro. Like these two players have just dipped massively. And it was the other day. It wasn't that 5-2 against Dortmund like this season. It was this season. It was a few months ago that Vinny was still in that world class level. And now you can't win with that. And Mbappe probably was the best attacker. And that's good on him and great, but you can win when you have 2 or 3 good players against 11, not even good players, just against a team that just has this good momentum and it's working. You can't. It's pretty difficult, and yeah, it's not that much left for the season.
I want to touch on the fullback situation specifically. First of all, yes, agreed, because it's just even starting Lucas Vazquez is one thing. But starting Mendy after over a month, 2 months almost of no.
What kind of
fitness,
message? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and what are you expecting from him also to start him in a?
No, I'm for Fran. Sorry, Leah, but also from Fran. When he comes off the bench replacing Mendy because Mendy is injured, what are you expecting from him? Since he knew Mendy was hurt and still got on the bench, started on the bench, what are you expecting from Fran Garcia now?
Yeah.
So what kind of message are you sending? Sorry for cutting you.
No, I agree completely. And that's the thing, is like neither of them are capable in a game of that level. Starting the decision to start Mendy in this game, I can understand the approach of he's the most defensive out of them. So against Lamine or Rafinha or whoever, but also no match fitness, no game minutes, nothing for months. And then also now you've just wasted a substitution that could have been elsewhere because he played 8 fucking minutes. It's not surprising that he went off with an injury too, because Mendy's made of glass, but it's the there's just, again, so many moving parts in that, because it's the decision making, it's the message that it sends, and then it's the expectation of, then it it even goes back to the board. Like, what did they expect for not signing any fullbacks or any defenders, or even a loan, or even Castilla players? Like, nothing. How do they expect Lucas Vazquez and Fran Garcia to even compete with Rafinha and Lamine Yamal just for pace alone? Like, but anyway, I digress.
Well,
Yeah, that's what I'm not willing, sorry, Kiyan, to entertain this narrative that the season would have been different with Arda. Well, maybe Real Madrid would have played better in terms of their performances and all that. But to me, the end product lies on the fact that you have been relying on very subpar left fullbacks on the left back spot and also the right back spot. So yeah, Arda maybe would have made it a little bit more fun and more entertaining for us, and maybe would have won a few games here and there, and then, well, obviously those games maybe would have made a difference in the table. But at the end of the day, to me, the biggest factor of them all is the fullback situation, that you were just doomed before the start if you knew this was going to be the fullback situation by the end of the season.
I thought it was a shocking decision to start Mendy and Vazquez. I thought it was shocking. Ancelotti said after the game in the press conference that the reason he didn't start Mbappe was because he wasn't going to be ready for the full 90. And that.
Can I just? Did we talk about this, Kiyan, or it was in one of these Madrid Mornings episode I just recorded? I'm no doctor. I'm not like a professional athlete, but an ankle sprain is very different from a soft tissue injury in the sense that, if it hurts, you cannot move, you cannot play, period. And if it's good enough for you to play, you can play 30 minutes, you can play 90. There shouldn't be any minute restriction for an ankle sprain from what I understand, really. So that's kind of surprising to me.
Well, I mean, irrespective of that, his reasoning, I guess, behind it made sense to me, that he wanted to bring him in the second half instead of the first half because maybe legs would have been more tired. Whatever. I mean, that particular reasoning was fine because obviously Mbappe came in the second half and looked great. He immediately changed the complexion of our attack. But he didn't have that same reasoning with Mendy, who hadn't. I mean, with Mbappe, he had played here and there. Mendy hadn't played in ages. So you have to tell me when the last time he played. Yeah.
It was like 40 days. He was 40 days, 45 days, actually.
There you go.
Like that.
And by the way, even if he was healthy, and look, I will say this: I think no matter who you put at left back, because Camavinga was injured, if you had Rush Alaba back or Mendy back, or you put Fran Garcia, none of those three really was like that exciting for me anyway. So that's why I didn't make a big deal out of Mendy starting. Obviously, trying to be a disaster, but I think it's clear also that Fran Garcia has been better than Mendy this season as well. So like if he was healthy, like you might as well just go with Fran. But the Vazquez one was shocking to me also because we literally saw the Vazquez experiment against so many teams, little teams, big teams, and we saw how it goes. If you want to focus on Barca, we saw it literally in January in Saudi. So why? And it's not just like lucky for Real Madrid, Rafinha wasn't at his best last night. But even just apart from him not getting that tested defensively, is that every time the ball would get to him and Barca pressed him, Vazquez would just kick it away. His passing is horrendous. He's not a press-resistant fullback, especially at this age of his career. So you also have to factor that in. Like, everything just improved for a variety of reasons in the second half because Vazquez eventually came off, and then Modric and Alaba came in. Fede shifted to right back. Fede started to, get involved in the attack from that position. And, yeah, I just, too late for a lot of these things.
It's just it's just as if Ancelotti had heard us for years saying, "Oh, Madrid isn't ready to start in these big games anymore." But now, if the choice is between Modric and Lucas Vazquez, we would all been happy about starting Modric last night. I feel like obviously that would move Valverde to the right back spot, but it was as if in the biggest time of need, Ancelotti kind of became allergic to starting Modric for whatever reason, and he's just starting Vazquez, who is just not a competent player anymore, and it's just shocking. Even though Vazquez again, and to me, Vazquez wasn't even the problem yesterday. He kind of stood his ground, I guess. This is the best I can say. It's not. He wasn't that. He wasn't a complete disaster in my opinion. Not at least last night. So, but yeah, it was a shocking decision for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
The way I see it too. Oh, sorry, Will.
No, you can go, Leah.
I was just gonna say the way I see it too is that had Fede started at right back, that would have just at least like they were annihilating that side, both sides. To be fair, like they were targeting both sides, but at least that would have had some stability and some security at the right back position. But then Modric or even shock Arda in a deep line playmaker role probably would have been a completely different game from the beginning. And then Fede would have been able to overlap, and then there would have been a lot more like balls in from the side that could have been capitalized on. I just feel like it would have been completely different. But
Yeah, I think this team will benefit a lot from the reset, right? From the new coach and just a reset, because it feels like they just don't have like a mission, right? Like you felt like the Barca players had a mission of like, okay, we're gonna do this and we're gonna win this game and we're gonna celebrate the Copa del Rey. It just feels like the Madrid players right now is like they know they're good because they're obviously unbelievable players, but it doesn't feel like they're all of them on the same mission. So I think they're going to benefit a lot from the coach change. And I saw some reports today that Ancelotti is basically like gone to Brazil, and he's probably gone before the Club World Cup. So let's see what happens next.
Matt is here. I haven't heard from Matt in the last 24 hours. Where do you want to start, Matt? You just arrived, so you can start wherever you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm listening to what you guys say, and what's popping through my mind is I do think that if we want to spin this in some positive direction, I think as disastrous as a season as this has been, maybe this group of players did need a little bit of a humbling, and maybe this group of players did need kind of a perspective shift this year, and to understand like you don't just put this jersey on and automatically win.
I was saying this exact same thought yesterday with the
Yeah.
friends I was watching the game with.
Yeah,
Exact same thing.
So, because this is now, if you count the preseason too, this is 4 consecutive wins Barca have had against us. And in all those wins, I think they scored 3 or more goals. And now we have one more Clasico coming up. They lose that one. Like, man, you're going to, I better see this team, like you guys say, come in with a new coach, a new voice, but also come in with an attitude of a chip on their shoulder with something to prove, because this is, I think too many of them have come in with the assumption, like full bellies, as they say, after winning so much. And I think that's hopefully you need to see something change next year. And hopefully this is enough of a catalyst to kind of push that forward.
I mean, if you don't see Lamine Yamal wearing 2 pairs of sunglasses last night and
Jesus.
saying Real
And his
Madrid
comments,
can't
man.
beat
Oh my
us,
God.
and that doesn't invoke some kind of pride in
Yeah.
you from that last Clasico, you're beyond saving. This season was one to forget for sure.
I
If you
try
don't
to
do
remind
that,
myself that
doesn't play.
he's just like a teenager, a kid who's just, he's.
You know what? I personally, I'm okay with it
Yeah, I'm
because
fine. It's just like
when I was 17, I
yeah,
was doing
yeah,
shit all, and I was more
yeah.
cringe, and I'm not as successful as
More
that kid. So
cringe.
I'm not gonna say nothing. But I'm talking about how the players themselves should
Yeah,
interpret something like
for
that.
sure.
But look, fourth Clasico, starting lineup comes out 1 hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours before kickoff. Vasquez right back, Mendy left back. I'm prepared. I'm prepared for the worst.
It's insane, bro. It's also, can we agree that this squad is just weaker than what we thought it was, bro? Because I remember at the beginning of the season, I thought we had like, the Globetrotters, the basketball dudes that just win everything and they're like tricks and everything. I thought we had, bro, like a better squad than City back in like 2021, 2022. But we're just this squad is weaker than and like some problems is there's some a reason of its weakness of why it's so weak because Florentino sometimes doesn't want to invest, right? Because the defense personnel is just unacceptable. Like the center backs you have, Asensio had to wait for like 3 guys to get their knees broken so he can play, and he's a good player. No fullbacks. I mean, this is Florentino's fault, but the non-use, the limited use of Andrick Guler is also Ancelotti's fault. And this squad just got weaker and weaker and weaker. And at the end of the season, we only have like 13, 14 players that are actually usable, and it's just sad. Because from the beginning of the season, it looked like we had such a great and deep squad. We had an amazing midfield. We had an amazing attack. Yeah, we didn't have the best defense, but it looked great. And now it's looking like we need like 3 or 4 players to come in the summer before the World Cup.
To me, the thing with the lack of reinforcements, the depth, and all that, this is the way I interpret it. It's as if the board, Florentino, Juni, Jose Angel, were wanting Ancelotti to like use Hendrik, Arda Güler, some academy players here and there, and Ancelotti just refused to go that route and go with his veterans because that's what he likes to do in terms of managing the egos in the dressing room and properly like get along with all the players, which is quite possibly his specialty as a coach and his main strength as a coach. So it's kind of been a bit weird seeing this dynamic between what Ancelotti actually had in the squad and still seeing him so stubborn when it came to players like Hendrik, Arda, even Asensio, as Angelo just mentioned, that took him quite some time to earn his spot in the starting lineup. And even when Alaba came back, like Ancelotti pretty much said, "Oh, Alaba is going to start because he's a starter, right?" And it took him a few games here and there for Asensio to reestablish himself as an undisputed starter. So yeah, it's Ancelotti just wanted to trust his veterans. That's his go-to thing as a coach. And for whatever reason, the board seemed content and satisfied with the roster they assembled, because otherwise they would have made some tweaks here and there after the few injuries they suffered, and they would have made the tweaks in the winter transfer window. But they decided to waste the season. We talked about this, Kiyan, in December or in January. We were saying if Real Madrid don't make any reinforcements in the winter transfer window, the season will be thrown to waste, and that's what's happened. You've thrown to the garbage can a full season of Bellingham's prime, Vinicius' prime, even though Vinicius hasn't been ideal this season, obviously. Rüdiger's prime, Courtois' prime. So yeah, you decided to and refused to make the necessary adjustments to your roster after those few injuries, and now you're paying the price.
Period.
Lucas, I thought Matt was going to say something, but I'll jump in really quick. Lucas, you're right, and I think, as we said so many times, it was a bad combination of the board, lack of signings, and Ancelotti not expanding his circle of trust.
Yeah.
If you're not going to be given a new right back, then you have to demote Vasquez pretty quickly, put Fede there, and start grooming Fortea. That's what the option is that he should have taken instead of entrusting Vasquez for 7 months. And to Angelo's question, the reason why I find it hard to agree with him about, like, is this squad not as good as we thought? I think this squad is, I'm not saying the squad is perfect, but it's not as bad as it's showing us right now. You can't convince me, I will die on this hill, that look at, like, 99.9% of the teams we face have inferior squads than us, have worse players on the field on paper than we do, and we are playing worse than them. So it doesn't make sense. So I understand that, like, okay, do you know how many teams we face, like, in La Liga, who's, like, if like our weakest link is like Ferland, Mendy, or Fran Garcia, that would be like a dreams player to have in their squad. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have Cruz. Who has Cruz? Like, we're struggling against everybody. It's not just Barca. Like, the bigger teams like Barca, Liverpool, Arsenal are just so good that they expand how much we get exploited. But we're not even playing good against, Leganes, and I'm just making up team names now. I don't know who. I can't go through the whole list, but, like, we're not playing good against anyone. So, like, none of those teams have better squads than us on paper. This team should have been playing better. And I understand like it's not fair to Carlo to say like, oh, well, he didn't have this wing backs and he didn't have signings and he didn't have to sign this guy. Like, yeah, but this team should be be playing way better than it is now. I mean, look at the attack, look at the midfield. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm done. And I said it last night. It does. I think we all are in agreement here on this one. It doesn't mean that we are not grateful to Carlo. It does not mean that Carlo wasn't the perfect manager for the time he came in. It doesn't matter that Carlo is not one of the greatest managers of all time. But every cycle must close, and this cycle has come to an end, and it's time to start something new and say thank you. And now we need to build something different in a new direction with a new voice, possibly new mannerisms, because you know this team is also, mentally is just in a really bad place too. It's not just tactically.
Yeah.
I saw this theory online, and I want to get your guys' take. Kind of piggybacking off of what Will and Lucas said in terms of just where we're at within the depth chart, that the Koundé goal wouldn't have happened if Tchouaméni was in the defensive midfield spot. But because we didn't have anyone to come in and play center back, because Alaba he's in a hospital, and Vallejo was warming up, but God knows he wasn't going to come on the pitch. And so, like, at that point, you have nobody. You have to put Tchouaméni there. And so this is what happens. Like, that was a byproduct of our squad planning. And that's what it kind of culminated in that moment, the whole season right there. Like, Tchouaméni can't play his spot until you give up a goal. Like, that's
a great point.
Like, the game goal. Yeah.
Matt, you were talking about, this game, this season overall being a humbling experience to the players. I also believe it's a humbling experience to the board. For years, they believed they could get away with not making the necessary reinforcements because, we're Real Madrid. We will be the favorites in every single Champions League tie. We lose 3-0 in London, no problem. We got the Bernabeu magic here. Oh, you'll see. We'll rally together and we'll have a chance to beat Arsenal at home and make it a tie. And we all believe this and kind of drag this Kool-Aid. Oh, Barca final in the Copa del Rey after being 9-2 on aggregate against them in the last two Clásicos. No problem. This is Real Madrid we're talking about. Oh, Vallejo and Alaba can't even play. No problem. Tchouaméni will play there. No, man. It was about time that reality struck. Not only the players, because I believe the players are also at fault with their attitude and their mentality approaching some of these games as well, but also to the board in terms of their squad planning and all that. Like they caught lightning in a bottle last year with the Joselu experience. We were all wrong because I basically said, this cannot be sustainable. The fact that Joselu is going to lead Real Madrid's offense or be like the primary center forward for an entire season, and there's no way Real Madrid will be successful. I was wrong. Most of us were wrong because I believe we all agreed on this. But now this season, you can say miracle doesn't happen twice. So yeah, I believe it's also a humbling experience for the board.
Do you think it'll change anything?
I'm not sure. It should. It definitely should. I think some tweaks and some signings will be made, but I'm not.
Well, let's ask it this way. Anytime Real Madrid do have a disastrous season, I don't think there has been a summer where they don't react.
Yeah, it's true.
What's a reaction though for you?
No. For example, like if you look at I think I compared this season to the 18-19 season, which by the way was the first time I started listening to Managing Madrid. Great podcast. That season, the summer nets is where we got Hazard, Mendy, Jovic, and Militao. I think that was that season. And I think Brahim was last season. So those four signings were a big spending because Hazard was like 100 million, Militao was 50. Mendy was like 52. So hopefully something like that starts happens this summer, but it's not looking like it because I saw some reports, Lucas, and you might know more about this than me. But I saw some reports that they don't even want to spend the money on who is it on Dean.
The Dean thing is worrying to me. Yeah, the Dean situation seems problematic and worrying in my opinion because it seems to me that they're not willing to spend that release clause, even though again, as we've talked about for the last few minutes.
Right.
You basically had no one sitting on the bench to replace a very injured Rüdiger. Rüdiger has been injured for the last few weeks, by the way. And you had no options on the bench to replace him. And you had to kind of dismantle the whole midfield to put Tchouaméni there. So yeah, the fact that Rüdiger is not Rüdiger, sorry, Dean Huijsen is not a must sign or an obvious sign for Real Madrid when you can basically tell he is dying to play for Real Madrid is very problematic for me.
Yeah, and we need to start a center back. Like, let's be honest. Like, Asensio is a great center back, but he's not starter level. Bro,
and Rüdiger is aging.
Yeah, and like, bro, thank God that wasn't a penalty because that tackle on Rafinha was so unnecessary.
Reckless.
Like, imagine that was a penalty, bro. It wasn't though, but I don't think Asensio is a starter level, right? I think
No, I
yet.
disagree.
Not yet, anyway.
I think he is. I agree that was a mistake, but I thought he had a good game outside of that. To be fair, I think he is. But and this is his first season, and I'm sure he'll go up and down.
And still Rüdiger is aging and all that, so it would be great to have like a starting caliber center back.
Oh, that I agree. I agree. We have to sign someone, but
you cannot trust on Militao and Alaba to get the job done next year. You just cannot make that same mistake again, and they are going to do it. I believe
it takes at least 6 months until these guys find their rhythm again after an ACL injury. So you might as well count half the season out without Militao. And like we've already seen it with both of them twice now. It took Militao the first time 6 months, and now it's going to taking Alaba just as long. He keeps getting injured every other game just from trying to get his body readapted to the elite level. So to your guys' point, like we need more depth there.
Two ACLs though is a lot different than one, and so
different legs, explosive player who relied a lot on his physicality. You know, I'm concerned about Militao, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think he'll ever be the same.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
I have because if the board's concern is we have these contracts, we have 2 left backs under contract. We have all these center backs in a contract, which, by the way, was not an issue when you tried to sign Lenny Yoro or Alphonso Davies. So I don't know what's going on. But if that's a barrier, I have a harsh solution. Because the issue of moving contracts is twofold. Because you have to find someone who wants the club and he wants the player, and you have to convince the player because the player also has the right to say, "Nah, I'm not going there. I'm staying here until my contract's over." So you have that problem too. But the harsh solution would be, I would literally one by one take Alaba in a room. I would take Mendy. Well, Vasquez is easy because you just don't have to renew him. You don't have to worry about that. And I would say, look, you are not in our plans. That's it. You can take it or leave it. You're not going to play next season. And it would be best for all parties involved, you, us, to move on, and let's find you a home. And I don't care what the transfer fee is. Take them for free. Just get the contracts away from. Open up room to get your Deans, to get your, either your Teo or your Miguel or whoever, and then bring in Xavi. Because you asked earlier, Lucas, what's the reaction? It's not to sign Erling Haaland and to sign all the
I agree.
It's just to sign reinforcements in the back line.
Yeah,
and then bring the coach. That's the reaction. That's the reaction to me.
I would also add an extra midfielder to that list, but yeah, I think that's definitely not a priority when compared to the back line. But yeah, I completely agree. It's not the club would be making a mistake by signing. I don't know. Haaland is an obvious choice. It will be a mistake of signing him. That's not what the team needs. Similar as what the team needed last summer was.
But
an
just
extra body in the midfield.
Haaland in this team, if we had Vinny, Haaland, and Mbappe up front, I mean that's a whole different discussion. That would be crazy. But
yeah, and Alaba defending.
I think you make a good point though, because if we offload even just Alaba, even if he goes for free,
It's not going to happen, guys. Come on.
for sure.
We're over 30, all of us. I don't know about you, Leah.
Hey, man, I'm
Kiyan-
24, man.
I also
I'm
am.
24, man.
Angelo, are you over 30?
Damn,
Matt
bro, I
looks
look
like
over.
he's 18.
I'm 24, man. Hey, I'm 24, okay? Don't come in.
No, really, Alaba is not leaving, guys. It's just it's
but-
a
hey,
Mariano
we-
situation,
Yeah,
Hazard situation.
No, Mariano ended up leaving. Hazard ended up leaving. Like, these guys ended up
Yeah,
leaving.
but it took
I don't
3
think it's
seasons to get them out the door.
Yeah.
You guys just remember you're talking to Mariano's agent, Angelo Valdes.
yeah.
I was thinking about this. How many Real Madrid players? How many players in the squad have we had over the last years that like their time in Madrid is like their last time in an elite club. Like, bro, Mariano is still a free agent. Hazard retired. Bale retired. I think that like how many players have we had? It's like we sell the player leaves, and like he's still on a good level or something. Most players, bro, Vallejo can play. Vasquez cannot play. Alaba and Mendy obviously cannot play. Brahim, I don't know if he. It's tough, man. We need more. I think we need.
Come on, don't be so harsh on Brahim though.
No, bro.
Putting his name there in that same group is rough, bro.
It's crazy, huh? But I still think like we just need momentum going. And when you don't have any momentum, it's tough.
New blood,
yeah. I remember when we had momentum, even Vallejo looked great against City. When you don't have anything, like it's problematic.
My point was, though, is that let's say Alaba does leave, and even if he doesn't, even if he leaves on a free, and all of these other like fringe players that we really just don't need, those are transfer fees that we could get, but those are also like significant wages that we would offload to then make room for new ones. So, I mean, we have two pretty hefty wage fees in Mbappe and Alaba. Alaba is our second top earner, I'm pretty sure, and so.
And you have to take care of the Vinicius extension as well. He's putting some pressure on the press right now. So we'll see about that as well. I'm not a fan of this whole circus now, like 3 days ahead of Copa del Rey final. But okay, fine. But you have to take care of that too. So yeah, we'll see. You can make significant money, I think, with the Rodrigo situation as well. I think that could be like you could basically, I believe, pay for Dean by selling Rodrigo.
You're about to summon Matt with that Rodrigo comment.
No, I mean, I've obviously defended Rodrigo, but look, the reality is like his performances, especially in the big games this season. Like I'm thinking back to all the player ratings I've done, like against Arsenal and Barcelona. I literally have given him a 2 every single time. Like he's been awful, and I don't know, like. I kind of see Rodrigo as being a guy who his career could go one of two ways. He could go like maybe like a slightly lesser Guti, where he just like becomes that super sub or a guy who never really able to crack the starting 11 and like has the talent but just never able to find the consistency, or he goes on to have like a career like Benzema, where like late in his career, renaissance, like really elite level. But I don't know. I'm torn with him at this point. I know he like the talent is there undeniably, but he is just so inconsistent, so inconsistent, and it just doesn't look like the hunger is there. Like I hate to distill it down to something as simple as that, but it just doesn't look like he has the fire in him when these big games roll around.
He's soft.
Like Gerard Martin was the left back. Like you should be dominating it. Like that should be what we should have been targeting the whole game. And like Gerard Martin looked exceptional against Rodrigo. Like it's ridiculous.
He's soft. He plays the games he approaches the game in a soft way. And you can find players who approach the game this way in many clubs, and Rodrigo is a pretty easy case and a pretty obvious choice when it comes to a player who just approaches the game in a very soft, technical maybe way, but he definitely doesn't have this killer instinct that is probably needed to succeed in this club. So yeah, I'm very pessimistic about his chances of turning things around here in Madrid. So if I could really like afford the Dean signing by selling Rodrigo, I would gladly do that. I think the team would be better.
It'll be really interesting to see like what conclusions like Xabi Alonso would have, for example, because if we're being honest, I think we all agree also like there is some redundancy in the way this squad is built. Like there are multiple players in one position, and and then no players in other positions, and so like one of the positions that we're stacked in, almost unnecessarily is the left wing position, and that's why Rodrigo was never going to play there. And is that just redundant? Like, is this just too many players for one? Like, do you need to clear some of it and use the remaining spots for other positions? That's like a real conversation that needs to be had.
I think you're also going to run in.
Hey, that's for sure.
Yeah. He was going to offer and bring us a solution, man.
No, that was Caliban. I think that was Juni, man. Yeah, that was Juni. Yeah, it's obvious. Like it's like you said, bro. Like, why do we have 3 world-class left wingers? Like, why?
Of course, somebody called me. I'm on my phone. Somebody called me. I was gonna say, I think you also run into the problem that I don't think Rodrigo's gonna want to leave. So, like, same thing with Alaba. Like, if you've read all Rodrigo's quotes in the past, like, he's adamant that he wants to be just like Vinny, wants to be here a long time, like Modric, Marcelo, all those guys. Like, I think one bad season isn't gonna be enough for him. I think he'd have to have 2 seasons like this before he convinces himself that he needs to leave. So I think it's gonna be difficult to get him off the books as well.
The thing for me about sorry.
No, you can go, Leah.
The thing for me about Rodrigo, and you guys, I had to pee so bad. That's where I went. So I was listening to your conversation while I was in the bathroom. But anyways, I've said this like 10,000 times, and I feel like it's like Real Madrid's kryptonite, where they sign players and then assign like 100 different roles to a player. And that, in my opinion, was the intention of signing Rodrigo. They didn't care that he was a left wing and we had 100 other left wings, nor did they care that Mbappe was a left wing and we still had 700 other left wings. The idea, in my opinion, is that, oh, they'll adapt. Oh, they'll like take on a different role. It's fine. Oh, he'll play striker. Oh, he'll play right wing. He'll play whatever. And so I think that's like been our kryptonite in general with wingers, with center backs, with midfielders. Like, all of our players are playing
number 10 all the time. Number 10 is like our classic.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like, Kiyan and I had this conversation like 6 months ago, and it's good that our players are versatile to an extent. Do you know what I mean? But now it's becoming so much that it is actually a detriment to our team, because players don't get consistency.
Yeah.
It what?
It punishes them.
Yeah, because they don't get consistency. And like, I agree. And I'm with you, Matt. Like, I'm on the Rodrigo train heavily. And I agree that he's been poor this season and inconsistent, especially as like a previous big game player. It's just like not really been a big game player this year. But also there is some like sympathy that I have for him, because for the last like 3 seasons, I think last year was his first almost full season of starting. And even then his position wasn't like consistent. He was like playing in behind Joselu sometimes. He was playing on the right when Vinny didn't start. He played on the left. Like, there's a lot of rotation. And I think Lucas, Kiyan, and I had this conversation last week that like players need to have roles and stick to them to like gain match fitness and gain experience and be comfortable in that role. And it just has like 100 benefits from that. But I feel like, at this point, it's like there's versatility is good until it's not. And now I just feel like that's the idea of the board too, is like, oh, well, Camavinga can play left back. Oh, well, Tchouaméni plays center back sometimes. Oh, well, now Fede Valverde and Lucas Vazquez isn't a right back. Like, he's been a right back for 2 years. He's not a right back. You know what I mean? 3 years. And so, anyways, I digress. I think that's like one of our biggest issues, is that we're just using the shit out of players in every position. We're the only team that has a meme of like 4 different players of like, what's the meme of Camavinga and Courtois and Fede? Like, it's like this position, goalkeeper, school bus. Yes. You know, anyway.
Yeah, I honestly, man, Rodrigo is a pretty good player. He just can't. I don't think he fits in the same squad as Vinny, and that's the thing. You have to pick one. And listen, bro, Rodrigo costed like 45 million or something, right? Like, he's paid his dividends already. Like it's been a great journey. I think you have to pick one. I don't think they fit. With Mbappe included, right? I'm just including Mbappe like as default in the squad. And he probably, I think if he goes onto a team where he's a starter left winger and he gets consistent minutes, I think he'll become a great player, because he is a great player. He's just like Leah says, he just has his roles mixed like most of the players in the squad. And that's it. Do you guys think?
No.
Do you guys think? Like, how do you see the Nets Clasico going? Because the Nets Clasico is not Nets week, but on the one that Nets. So how do you see that Clasico going?
No, Rüdiger.
Rüdiger's suspended already. He's gonna miss that one for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, 99% sure, I think.
We have to talk about that
also
first, don't we? Like that. what was happening to him last night was not normal. That was a ridiculous rage out. Like, I mean, on one hand,
Pointless too.
yeah, I didn't. I mean, it kind of reminded me of Sergio Ramos, just breaking everyone in half and taking the red card at the end of the 5-0 that year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, all right, well, I kind of get it. Like, it feels like he's basically manifesting how we all feel. Take the red card and then come back, and cool down. But that was, I mean, I don't know. Honestly speaking, Rüdiger was lucky also not to concede a penalty too. And he just had to go at a ref. That was not normal. That I don't really know what the hell happened there, but that was that also screwed us for the league, And no matter what you think, if we're going to come back in the league or not, we're definitely going to need a defender next to Raúl Asensio, and now we have to rely on who?
Enter Tchouaméni and Modric starting, man.
Yeah, there goes Tchouaméni from the DM position.
This is when he was establishing himself as a starter. So yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
To me, the Rüdiger thing I didn't like, and I didn't appreciate the whole fiasco about the end of the game was the fact that I didn't think the referees had nothing to do with that loss. It was just pointless, in my opinion, to kind of go after the referees in such a way with such anger.
Yeah.
After what was a pretty standard, if not like solid performance from the referees, in my opinion, and credit to them as well, because the whole fiasco on Friday wasn't easy, and they obviously deserve some responsibility for what happened on Friday, but they were on the spotlight, and I thought they were more than okay, really. So going after them in such with such an anger in such a way made no sense to me. So yeah.
I actually think we got every favorable call. Like
50-50 calls went our way.
The VAR, like the Rüdiger penalty that Kiyan called out with Ferran Torres, and then the Dani Ceballos pull down on the corner kick where it hit the post.
Yeah.
They didn't review that one. And then obviously Asensio's play got overturned. Like we got every favorable call, which I think the Asensio one did end up being the right call, but I think the other two you could have definitely called those as penalty kicks.
Yeah. 50-50 calls went our way, yeah. So again, okay, that last foul call, which got everything started, which is a very questionable foul call on Mbappe, it was not going to make the difference in that game. I don't feel like it was pretty much the last chance Real Madrid would have gotten, and it's an extra chance, but after 120 minutes going after the referees in such a way.
But I mean, even that, like, as annoying as that was, it was. I mean, technically, like he did.
Yeah, he touched the face.
Like, so I'm like that can be called. Like I've seen that being called. But like if Eric Garcia doesn't go down, it's probably not even looked at. But that's he made sure the referee saw the contact. But back to Angelo's question, that next Clasico. I mean, I couldn't tell you. It could go.
Does Bellingham serve in the league for his red or no?
No. Okay. Apparently, it's going to be just one Copa del Rey game.
Since it's only 2 suspended games, it stays on the Copa del Rey. When it's 4 or more, it goes across competition.
Gotcha.
Rüdiger is the only one affected in La Liga, I believe, and he could. I think he's facing a 4 to 12 match suspension. So we'll see about that.
It's interesting because the power of unity that carried us like the last couple years has completely vanished this year, and you can see it like how badly the team has taken these losses mentally, like psychologically. Everyone just freaking out at the final whistle. Like, I mean, it's just, you can tell the team is in a broken place mentally. It's not. There's so many things that need to be addressed next season, and that's one of them. And I wonder if this goes back to Matt's theory about like maybe you need a heavier hand, someone to hold these players back and just slap them in the face a little bit and like just relax and calm down and all this. It'll be interesting. I don't know if like someone asked me like, do they need someone they fear in the dressing room? Like, I don't know. I don't think fear is the right word, but
respect is the right word. Respecting in a less friendly way than Ancelotti.
Yeah, but also like what's also related to me is that if you're playing well, it's just easier to keep your head.
Sure.
So if you have a manager who has more direction and the team is playing better, you're probably not going to run into these situations as much. But yeah, this team really hasn't been humbled like this in years, and this is a huge humbling season for everybody.
I saw a tweet from Sid Lowe today where he said Ancelotti said something along the lines of, everybody thought we were going to get rolled over, and like that didn't happen, or we played well, or something like that. Where that's such a that's a
The standard
mentality.
shouldn't be that low.
Yeah,
Atletico
that
de Madrid
should not be.
mindset,
That's a
right?
loser mentality. Like that
Mm.
is, if that's embedded in the team right now, and that's the mentality, that's the
Yep.
culture, then we have
Yep.
a huge problem. Like we need to
Yep.
get rid of that immediately,
Yep.
and that's a major concern. For, like Sid Lowe was like he tweeted that out because, to the exact point, like that's where the standard is right now for us, and
Yep.
that's where Ancelotti's head is, and
Yep.
that for me is not good enough, and that is that does not like I think again going into the Clasico in La Liga, like I think we're stretched too thin depth wise, and if one bad thing goes against us, they score an early goal, like I don't
We're
think
gonna
we'll
fall.
react. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll fall apart. We'll mentally fall apart. I don't think we have the mental strength to do what we did in this game and come back. Um, so yeah, I think like, and that's the thing that's like it's surprising how ill disciplined this team has been. I think the pressure of everything has gotten to them, and like we've talked about Rüdiger, we talked about Bellingham. Like this isn't just this game alone. It's been all season where the lack of discipline and just getting these needless suspensions and stuff like that. It continues to hamper us. And like at no point, I think back to when Mourinho first came in, like one of the things he did was play the same starting 11 over and over and over again to get that consistency. Like there wasn't any rotation. He played the same starting 11 to get that consistency, get the patterns of play, so on and so forth. We haven't been able to do that at all this year because of injuries, suspensions, whatever it may be. Like you've never been able to get any momentum with the same starting 11. I think, have we had like 3 games consecutive where we had the same starting 11? I don't think so. Not once this season.
I'll go one further. We haven't seen our best starting 11 once this season. Not once.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just checking on the Clasico games the last few years, 2023 and 2024. And if you look at the Clasico games, it's funny because it's exactly what you said, Matt. Our lineup basically didn't change at all for all the Clásicos we played. There was only one change, and it was Lucas Vázquez once because I think Carvajal got injured in one of them. But it was the same infield, same attack, same defense. And if you look at Barca's 11, which last season, they lost all of the Clásicos, they had a lot of changes. One was Sergio Roberto. One was Christensen, played at midfield. Like they changed a lot, and that's just it's interesting how everything can change in a year. And yeah, it's true. If you don't get consistent with one lineup, it's difficult to build momentum, and it's shown. Like this season, we did the same that Barca did last season, and we got the same results. We lost every class.
Yeah.
Kiyan said we haven't had our best starting 11 this season. Have we had the same starting 11 in back-to-back games? I don't think so. I think there's been probably a change in the lineup every single match this season.
I mean, I'd be
be willing
surprised
to
if
bet.
that was true, but I truly don't know.
I'm curious.
Well, do you guys think? I'm curious your thoughts on Brahim as a whole. I mean, I think he was horrendous last night off the bench, which surprised me because I thought like
Yeah.
he would take advantage of these situations, especially like in the second half when we had momentum. I
Mhm.
thought he would take advantage of the space and be able to cook something up, but something was off with him last night.
Yeah.
But I guess I understand completely the criticism of him last night,
Yeah.
but I am in a way surprised at how it was like such a definitive claim, like this guy needs to be gone. Because I thought it was a bad game. I didn't see it so extremely as like you need to sell this guy after this. It was bad, but it was like he's a good squad player to have.
I agree with you. And one more thing, obviously his miscues in those counter-attacking chances where he could have pretty much assisted Arda Güler for what would have been the equalizer for Madrid were bigger than his mistake in Barca's goal, in my opinion. That in Barca's goal, to me, the blame should go equally to, maybe not equally, but at least partially to Modric as well. I think that pass was not strong enough, not like decisive enough.
Possibly also the wrong
Brahim obviously
option to
made the
pass to.
mistake. Yeah, exactly. Like, first of all, the option is not like his decision to like launch the counterattack through the center of the field is like pretty much they teach you in the academies not to do that. But if you were to do that because you want to exploit the counterattack late in the game, blah blah blah, the pass needs to be more decisive and more strong. Period. And definitely, Brahim made the mistake not to chase the ball and go after the ball instead of waiting, and that cost Real Madrid the goal. But I think Modric deserves like maybe a third, if not 40% of the criticism in that particular play, which is, I believe, what kind of got most of Madrid fans so angry at Brahim, apart from these other instances in the counter-attacking opportunities I just mentioned. But in that particular goal, I feel like Modric is escaping some criticism as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think that's a fair assessment. And it was interesting because Carlo actually, and maybe the translation on this came out wrong, but after the post match against who did we play prior to this match? After the post game, Carlo talked about how Brahim, like publicly talked about how Brahim's been out of form and hasn't been at his best the last few weeks. And so I found that really interesting. And he kind of gave a little bit of a lashing to Endrick for
Yeah.
The lashing to Endrick was weird. I gotta say, it's kind of like that. Have you guys seen that video where a car drives by and he yells at the guy in the back seat instead of the driver? And the guy's like, "Why are you saying fuck me? I'm not even driving." I was like, I thought like the Endrick drive-by shooting after that game was wild.
Yeah. I mean, and neither of them. I mean, Endrick, I thought his cameo was almost equally, obviously shorter, but equally poor. Like he gave the ball away in really dangerous positions. Just he just too erratic. Like we know this of Endrick, but it was almost at another level last night. He was
that one play where he tried to dummy on the wing.
Yeah, dummy. Yeah.
And we almost conceded because of that. I think Asensio came over and cleaned it up. But that was. I mean that's just, you can see the immaturity in that situation there.
Yeah. So I think I agree that the calls for selling Brahim, like for me, it's a little too premature or too soon. But you certainly like. I'm honestly at the point where there are very few indispensables in this squad. Like if the board and the club really want to make some big moves this summer, I'm not really opposed to like. I think there's very few I would be opposed to use. Like Fede Valverde and Bellingham are probably the two. Anybody else, I'm open to it. Like
but Matt, on that note, it's not easy to find a Brahim quality replacement for a good price.
That's
the tricky stuff about Brahim we have always talked about, right? I mean, okay, it's kind of easy to find a player of Brahim's caliber in the market for an somewhat affordable price, but is that player willing to take on Brahim's role?
Yeah. No, I think Brahim's the perfect 12th man. Like I think he's great for that role. My general point is just that hey, whatever the board needs to do this summer to get things done, like do it. Like do what you think is like we need to make bigger decisions and bigger calls. I've publicly said that like I think Carlo hasn't had the balls to make big decisions this year, but I also think the board needs to make big decisions.
Sure.
Like they can't just
I'm with you. I just the trouble I'm having is that like if there was like a surprise like Varane or Casemiro type sale in the summer, like logically it would have to be someone like Rodrigo to me. But then the difference between Varane, Casemiro, and Rodrigo is that Varane and Casemiro wanted to leave. Like they are the ones who pushed to leave, and Rodrigo won't. I don't think, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to leave Real Madrid no matter how So I don't blame him.
If you were to ask me about a surprising sale, my two choices would be either Rodrigo. I don't think that even qualifies as a surprise, and the other would be maybe Camavinga.
Hard.
I mean, it's like a hot take, right? I'm not like saying they are going to be sold, but if you were to ask me, unexpected departure for Real Madrid this summer, give me two names. I would go with Rodrigo and Camavinga.
I think you could add Tchouameni. Like I don't think he deserves it after the second half of the season, and I thought his goal was like kind of epitomized his transformation this season. But I think he would probably be like in terms of surprise transfer. I think I could see that be another one too.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean,
I have a question.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I don't. I just could say I don't see that. But go ask your question, please.
Let me answer. I feel I have a question after the statement I'm going to make. I agree with you, but I also think I might disagree because do you think Rodrigo will? I think there'll become a breaking point where he knows his capability and he knows his potential, and he's just not either playing the position that he's playing, or maybe there'll be like an extension or something that he won't get the wages or the whatever that he wants. And I think at that point he'll probably. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. My question though is obviously Mbappe is Mbappe, right? Like every club would die to have Mbappe. But do you think we needed to sign Mbappe? Do you think that we would be better off with the squad that we had last season?
I think generally, I think it depends. Like, what are you gonna? Because obviously his profile wasn't needed. Obviously, right, for the squad. But like Mbappe is a great player. But if you wanted to buy Mbappe, then maybe you shouldn't have had Vini and Rodrigo. I think that's it.
Do you think it would have made more sense? This is like objective because I feel like you're right. Like Mbappe's Mbappe. But what if we spent like those wages on like several other reinforcements rather than spending like one big lump sum on a player that like may or may not work in the system or like might take several years or several seasons to actually like become consistent in a system that works for everyone?
I think as long as you don't lose the balance, I think it's okay, and it's better to have better balance, more balance. I think that's we just don't have balance right now, right, guys?
Well, so are you saying you wouldn't have signed Mbappe?
I'm saying I would have, but if I signed Mbappe, I would have sold either Vini or Rodrigo.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have
Yeah.
kept the three of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the end. Like, I think one of them had to go, and I think, or you just don't sign Mbappe, and like Leah said, you reinforce other positions, take that money and go reinforce other positions. Like, I think that was probably the answer.
I think that's the correct take. I would still sign Mbappe 10 times out of 10, even knowing how this season went, because he's just so good. And if you ask me, he's better than Vinny. But I think the correct answer is if you were to sign him, you have to accommodate the squad accordingly and not just put everything together without a plan. And I will go back to this. I'm surprised at Ancelotti's insistence in fielding all three of them together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's ultimately why a lot of the imbalance arose. And I also still don't believe that Vinny's issue is Mbappe. And I think you saw that in the first half. The guy just is playing with no confidence right now. Mbappe was not even on the field. He couldn't even. I think he made it easy on Koundé to defend him. How many times he was just not even aware that Lamine Yamal was tracking him and took the ball easily from him. Something's going on with him mentally, and it has nothing to do with Mbappe. I'm convinced of it.
Well, they actually had a few good This was the first game that second half where you finally saw like a few good combinations and how devastating they could be on the counter. Like between them and Bellingham, like this was it. This was finally we saw 30 minutes of it. It was like, oh my god, this is what it could be. And yeah, it was fleeting. Wasn't obviously for a large stretch of the game, but we saw it, and I think it's frustrating. It's so frustrating, and like that second half though gave me hope that like, hey, as much as we're talking about some of the changes that need to be made, like you can get this right. You can get this right if we get a little bit more of an organized system. You give these guys clear roles like we've talked about. I think we get Arda more involved, and I think last night may be kind of like his coming of age performance at Real Madrid. And I think, yeah, I gave me hope at least that second half.
Guys, we got to wrap it up here. I think we all have to jet. Yeah, just give me 1 second. And thanks for tuning in. Join. Yeah, you got to. If you that rule is you got to say hello, Madrid, if you're going to be on the podcast.
Okay. Hello, Madrid.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Hey, hello, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
some are feeling up.
There you go. All right, we gotta go. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Thanks, guys. Peace out. Later.
Thanks, guys. Bye.